if we had like Big Shot Bob for Robert Horry, what are we calling Tyrese Halliburton? Because Big Shot Bob would give you like one a postseason. This guy's giving you 3 in 3 rounds. What a performance down the stretch by Halliburton, and the entirety of that team sticking together, staying to the plan, and shocking everyone in the fourth quarter again.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
After we have control of any sport, baseball, you can breathe, the pitcher steps off the mound, even the bottom of the ninth, World Series or whatever. Football, okay, first down, then second down, and there's a method to it, right? The hockey is just all out reactionary, crazy, puck bouncing around everywhere. Oh my God, there's always like a scoring chance.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
A new week starts right here, right now, bright and early live on this Monday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. That's all across the SportsGrid network, including sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. We are together live for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time to start off this new week, to start off your Monday morning here on TEL. It was a weekend of championships, DRS, over the past 48 hours since we last spoke to all of you early on a Friday morning. Game 2 of both the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final over this weekend as well, and plenty to break down. Last night in Oklahoma City, we are all even in the association in our championship set, and a double overtime thriller on a Friday night in Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final, all even in that series as well. Championships on the clay at Roland Garros in the French Open. We had some golf to break down as well, entering the United States Open this week as we get ready for action at Oakmont outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Third and final leg of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes DRS, and plenty of baseball action, a recap and breakdown for all of you here on this Monday as well.
Absolutely. Get on board, people. This is what we do over the next 3 hours. Keep you up to date on exactly what happened this weekend. But more importantly, Ben, as I just put the retweet out here for the show, one step closer, 1 day closer to football season. Just think, man, in 3 weeks, we're in July. Everybody goes to training camp, and away we go off to a blissful college football and professional football season. That's what we do here, man. Keep the vibes high.
No doubt about it, DRS. It is a great point. Again, June is our final month without an NFL game. That includes preseason until March of 2026. That's the next calendar year. If you are wondering why Donnie Rightside is dressed a little bit better than myself, although I think this is a rather snazzy and chic polo on this Monday morning over the weekend, DRS. Hot temperatures here in our New York City studio. Still working on that air conditioning. We hope to have better updates for you as this week plays out. It is hot in here. It was hot last night in Oklahoma City for the Thunder, who even up the NBA Finals in game number 2. 16-point win as OKC responds from coughing up that 15-point lead with about 9.5 minutes remaining in the opening game of the NBA Finals. 123-107. The Thunder show that resolve once again, DRS, covering as an 11-point home favorite to even this series at 1 game apiece.
You know my angle in this game. I really needed OKC to start strong. They won the first quarter 26-20, the second quarter 33-21, easily pulverizing the Pacers in the first half and cruised to a victory here. That's a sign of a team that understands the task at hand. You know, Ben, you cannot go down 0-2 heading to the opposing team's home court. They handled their business in dominating fashion as expected. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points in this game, and away you go. A lot of players in double digits for the Thunder, which included some great bench performances. A much-needed victory that they got, and yes, we got a series now.
An 18-point lead for Oklahoma City at the break, but that was nothing new. They led by 12 at the break and 15 with 9.5 minutes remaining in that opening game. Indiana not able to muster up another dramatic and historic comeback last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DRS, in his first 2 games of his NBA Finals career, 72 combined points, 38 in the opener, a game-high 34 last night, performing like an MVP. Now the NBA MVP, of course. We are tied at 1 game all. Where the NBA Finals stands entering Game 3 as we change venues to downtown Indy for the first time in just a few days. That's what we'll discuss up next. But DRS, yesterday on the clay, even if you're not that into tennis or the biggest tennis aficionado, I think you could appreciate what we saw between world number 1, Jannik Sinner, and world number 2 in Carlos Alcaraz. The new era of men's tennis and a rivalry that is already here but continues to bud. One of the great championship matches we have ever seen in tennis. Arguably the greatest match we have ever seen in a French Open final. It was the longest, 5 hours and 29 minutes. And Carlos Alcaraz storms back, DRS, to win an epic French Open final in 5 sets and a tiebreak over Jannik Sinner.
One of the greatest final matches that you ever see. It was great for me because I didn't see it. So I enjoyed my morning yesterday and didn't waste 5 hours with the French Open out here. But I understand this. Make me commissioner of tennis. You cannot serve a tennis ball over 75 miles per hour because we just don't want to see ace after ace after ace after ace. Hey, can you volley back and forth once in a while over 5 hours? That would be great, guys.
Well, DRS, they did that yesterday when Carlos Alcaraz was down 3-5 in that 4th set. He was serving down love 40, had to come all the way back to stave off 3 championship points, and then broke Jannik Sinner, who was serving for the championship and that title in the following game. He forces a 5th set. We see a tiebreak, and Alcaraz was dominant in that tiebreak. 5th Grand Slam victory for Carlos Alcaraz. He is a perfect 5-0 in major finals in his career, and he has won 5 consecutive matches against Jannik Sinner. And an incredible French Open final yesterday over in Roland Garros on a Saturday afternoon here stateside, but under the lights in the City of Light, that being Paris. Coco Gauff wins her 2nd Grand Slam title of her career, outlasting Aryna Sabalenka in the women's final on Saturday to win 6-7, 6-2, 6-4. Championship, major championship number 2 for Coco Gauff.
Should have played them both at the same time, so we got to get them both out of the way. We don't have to waste an entire day on a Saturday and a Sunday waiting for tennis at this point. You get it, people? I love myself some tennis. You know, I like it best when it's actually over. How long till Wimbledon? How much time we got off here if we have to worry about tennis again?
Pretty quick turnaround. A 3-week span, DRS, for the fortnight that is Wimbledon on grass. By the way, Carlos Alcaraz plus 135 to win on grass at Wimbledon. Jannik Sinner plus 140, just barely behind. The 2nd major championship for Coco Gauff, her 2nd Grand Slam title. She is bested Aryna Sabalenka in both, including the 2023 United States Open. Donnie likes to poo-poo tennis. We celebrate the great matches we saw in the finals over the weekend. How about some NFL news then, DRS? To satiate your need, the Texans are expected to sign running back Nick Chubb, who each of the past 2 years with the Cleveland Browns suffered a season-ending injury, a devastating knee injury just 2 games into 2023, only played 8 games last year with the Browns.
What a shame, man. One of the most dominant running backs you're going to see. So much fun to watch, but when you do have a devastating leg injury, trying to come back from it is even harder to do in the NFL. I wish him all the success here. I just don't think it's going to amount to too much here. Good luck with him for the Texans, even though, as I said again, he's still dragging that leg in some of those videos, Ben. That's a shame.
Yeah, right now, DRS, some breaking news, by the way, from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport.
Yeah.
The Packers releasing star quarterback Jair Alexander, a move that some thought might happen. We'll dive into that in just a little bit. DRS, over the weekend, the Phils really starting to slump. And yesterday, Paul Skeens behind yet another sensational performance, 7 2/3, only allowing a single hit. Did not allow an earned run, did earn a no decision, but the Buccos sweep the Phils over the weekend.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. The Phillies are struggling at the plate, and here's the key. Well, most teams don't have a Paul Skeens, but if you just have any, like I'm a lefty. I'm 47 years old. I can beat the Phillies tonight at home against the Chicago Cubs. I can do that because why? They just can't hit any sort of left-handed pitching, good, bad, or indifferent. They are struggling right now, to say the least.
5 straight L's for Philadelphia. How about some baseball on the collegiate diamond? 7 of our 8 spots in Omaha in the College World Series have been booked. In Texas on the softball diamond on Friday night, knocks off Texas Tech for the Longhorns' first ever national championship in softball. DRS, your reactions, I'm sure, later. How about Sovereignty? No, sorry, I got to get to it. Sovereignty running past journalism once again to take the Belmont.
The horse racing out too.
Journalist.
If we had like Big Shot Bob for Robert Horry, what are we calling Tyrese Halliburton? Because Big Shot Bob would give you like 1 a postseason. This guy's giving you 3 in 3 rounds. What a performance down the stretch by Halliburton, and the entirety of that team sticking together, staying to the plan, and shocking everyone in the fourth quarter again.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Have control of any sport. Baseball, you can breathe. The pitcher steps off the mound, even the bottom of the 9th World Series or whatever. Football, okay, first down. Then you second down, and there's a method to it, right? The hockey is just all out reactionary, crazy, puck bouncing around everywhere. Oh my God, there's always like a scoring chance.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here. He'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to back 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night on a Sunday evening in Oklahoma City as we welcome you back to a Monday morning to tip off this new week bright and early here on the Early Line. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. And DRS, despite coughing up a 15-point lead with under 9.5 minutes remaining in the opening game of the 2025 NBA Finals and a 9-point advantage with 2:39 left in that fourth quarter in game number 1. Oklahoma City responds, as they have during their times throughout this postseason. The Thunder have never dropped consecutive games throughout this playoff run. And we have a series now in the NBA Finals tied at a game all. 16-point win for the Thunder, 123-107. Despite coughing up that lofty advantage in game number one, Oklahoma City was an even stronger favorite entering game two last night. A 16-point win. Oklahoma City covers as an 11-point favorite to even this series at a game all.
Did what they had to do. That's what. Look, you can't win the series in one game. You understand after that game one loss, the only thing that matters is not playing clean basketball, just getting a win at all costs in game number two before you head back to Indiana. And they were great right from the get-go here. 26-20 as we talked about in the first quarter, 33-21 in the second quarter. SGA with this normal, hey, I'll be somewhere in the low 30s, got that done. Chet Holmgren needed him to wake up 6 from 11 from the floor, +4 and a 15 total points in that game. Lou Dort only scored 3 points, which was interesting, but why did that not matter? Because the bench was sensational. Alex Caruso, 27 minutes, 6 of 11 from the floor, 4 for 8 from three-point range. And also Aaron Wiggins, 6 of 11 from the floor, 5 for 8 from three-point range. You got a 20 and an 18 piece off the bench there. That's what the deal is, because we know Oklahoma City is deep. Oklahoma City will play defense. And if Oklahoma City is getting those type of performances off of the bench, of course, they're going to be tough to beat. A runaway victory, bell to bell, as we like to say it yesterday.
Yeah. 9-2 now, Oklahoma City straight up inside the Paycom Center throughout this magical playoff run. They are 8-3 against the spread. In all 8 of those covers, DRS, the Thunder have won by 15-plus points. Last night was 16. They have been at least a 7.5-point favorite now in all 11 games at home in this postseason. Make it 12 games for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP, scoring 31 points or more in this postseason. Of course, that is a Thunder record. 34 points last night, over a points prop of 33.5. 72 combined points, DRS, for SGA in the first 2 finals games of his NBA career. That also some postseason history last night individually for Gilgeous-Alexander and for his Thunder team. They have now evened this series back up at 1 a game apiece.
Yeah, and they had to do that. And so now the pressure starts to switch back, because you can say for OKC, what were the expectations from them? Basically double-digit favorites in games 1 and game number 2. They did get one victory. Yeah. I'm interested to see the energy in the building for Indiana, understanding all we asked for, right, Ben, to open the series was not for a Pacers victory. Can the Pacers steal one of these games so we can actually get some intrigue once we get back to Indiana? And we are going to get that, which is fantastic. But this is going to be one of those games where we can really set the series. Is Indiana for real? We think they are. First 3 series in the Eastern Conference played extremely well. Game number 1 played extremely well. Game number 2 didn't. But again, that's going to happen on the road against a really quality opponent like OKC. Let's just see if Indiana can do the same thing they did in game number 1, which technically is game number 1 in Indiana, win that basketball game. Play it close within a possession late. Really turn the pressure up on OKC. Let's see how they can defend at that point here. But Oklahoma City was the better team in game number 2, no doubt about it. We expect them to be the better team in the series, but now we head back to Indy. It's interesting because if you're asking me right now, games 3 and 4, my expectations, the Pacers to get one of those games, Ben. Yes.
I would hope so, DRS. Indiana has been incredible, of course, as an underdog, despite not covering last night because of what they have done outright throughout this playoff run. Now, 9-3 outright, or 8-4 outright as an underdog, not a cover last night. Still had 7 guys score in double figures, but for that second consecutive game, nobody getting to the 20-point benchmark for the Pacers last night. A total DRS that just trickled its way over 228 in a hook, by the way, finishing with 230 total points. We've got 2 full days off as we travel to Indianapolis for Wednesday night in game number 3. We'll talk more about this series and, of course, set the stage for game number 3 on Wednesday night in Indy a little bit later on. But it's a pretty consistent theme here, DRS. The Thunder are going to be favored in every single game of this NBA Finals, even if Indiana does win game number 3 and take that 2-1 series advantage. OKC at least a 7.5-point favorite in all 11 home games throughout this playoff run. Now that they've played 18 total postseason games, they've been at least a 3-point favorite in all of those. And Donnie, if you're looking for some optimism, The Pacers have turned the basketball over a ton in the first two games of this series, 15 last night. And again, their scoring hasn't been overly prolific. That's a testament to the Thunder and what they've done on the defensive end. If you're going glass half full for OKC, even winning by 16, where's the next level? Well, Jalen Williams has not been a great number 2 option behind SGA. He is shooting just 33% in 2 of 9 from 3 in the opening 2 games of this series. But some of that optimism should be Chet Holmgren, who had 6 points and 6 boards in game number 1. Looked rather lifeless out there. He responds with 15 last night and was doing everything, especially on the defensive side for Oklahoma City.
And that's their calling card, right? Playing unbelievably great defense. Them and a superstar who's the MVP and SGA handle the business on the offensive side. You want other guys to pitch in, as we like to say, those secondary options. But again, talking about that bench with Caruso and Wiggins, who were sensational in game number 2. What's my mantra, Ben, in the NBA, and just like all sports? Those bench players usually play so much better at home, and they really rose to the occasion. Can those 2 guys give those bench efforts in Indiana? We'll certainly find out. But on the flip side, those guys on the bench with Indiana, with Obi had such a good game in game number 1, was really bad in game number 2. Maybe he gets it back in game number 3 on the home court here and see if they can come away with a big-time victory again.
And we'll talk about that game in Indianapolis, DRS. We'll also discuss where this series is. The Thunder entered, of course, game 1, a minus 700 outright favorite. They lost. They entered game 2, minus 330. Where are the odds now that still see Oklahoma City as a hefty favorite to win that Larry O'Brien trophy? We'll hear from the skipper in OKC next.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face, and after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Oklahoma City Thunder respond in game number 2 of the 2025 NBA Finals with a 16-point victory. DRS, the Thunder have been great throughout this playoff run of not compounding mistakes, even when they probably should have held on at least to win a game by a slim margin after having a much larger margin at some point in the fourth quarter. So before we continue to dive through this championship set, let's hear from OKC's head coach Mark Daigneault about how his team responded and what adjustments they made entering game 2.
I thought
Indiana's kind of an acquired taste. We haven't played them a ton. They're not in the West, obviously, and they play a very distinct style on both ends. And I thought there were a lot of things tonight that we were just like a little better in and more comfortable. And that was on both ends of the floor. I just thought the guys did a good job of just improving, which is important going from game 1 to game 2.
So, DRS, when you think about this Thunder side, right, they got beat by Denver in the opening game of the second round. They led by 13 with about 6.5 left. Very similar to what happened in the opening game of the NBA Finals. They respond with a 43-point win in game number 2. They get beat in Denver in game 6, forcing that game 7. They win by 32 on their home floor to extend their playoff run into the Western Conference Finals. They cough up that 15-point lead in game 1 over Indiana. Another miraculous and masterful comeback from the Pacers. OKC responds with a 16-point win last night, covering as an 11-point favorite. This Thunder core, who has not reached this stage in the 5 years under Mark Daigneault, in the 5+ years with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as their star player. Well, now the MVP scores 34, and OKC evens this series at 1 game all.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Look at that post-game press conference. You remember when Patrick Ewing came back with Georgetown to Madison Square Garden for the Big East tournament, asking for his credentials? Like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, I'm Patrick Ewing in my own building here. How does Mark Daigneault? He has like 6 IDs to try to get in. You couldn't. If you would have said this is the head coach of OKC, never in a million years would I would actually believe that was the guy.
Kind of
but
like
having said that, you're right. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it could. Why did ID
a similar haircut?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the content. We don't have to play it again, but.
Let's
go back to the haircut here. That's a pretty similar, that could be.
If I could wear a hoodie?
Can we not play it?
I see it.
Just get the still image?
There you go. There's a still image.
I mean, there's a striking resemblance between right side and Daigneault. I would say.
Put a trophy maybe behind him. Super Bowl trophy, a little
Replica
initials
Larry
up there.
O'Brien, hopefully a real Larry O'Brien trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could do that. We look the same in that. But I understand what he was saying at this point right now. You're not used to playing a team that's out of conference all that much. And also, Indiana, it's not the right to say they don't play by the rules, but they play a different brand of basketball than a lot of teams in the NBA. You get out and run, so many different ways to hit you. A lot of fun there, where sometimes it does take a game or two to understand exactly what's taking place. And before the series started, Ben, you're talking about, extra time to prepare. Well, that also gives you extra time to come up with new plays and different designs to actually come away with, and then you get some film on it, and you can certainly exact your revenge, which in game number 2, OKC did that. We'll see if we get some changes, because, again, there's no reason for a 2-day break, but we get that in the NBA, so advantage to the coaching staffs here who want to put something new and fresh in for game number 3 to surprise the opponent.
So as we get ready for Game 3 on a Wednesday night, of course, DRS, after even squandering a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter in Game number 1, Oklahoma City remained a hefty favorite, minus 330 to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy outright. Every price for the Thunder to win this championship series in 5, 6, or 7, shorter than a $3 number, the shortest even for Indiana, who had a 1-0 series lead entering Game 2, was plus 710 in 6 games. So after the Thunder equalize, minus 560 is the price on OKC to win their first NBA championship in their 17 seasons in Oklahoma City. But a small little disparity here in that series spread. The Thunder laying a game and a half. That would be 6 games or sooner, minus 150. Not exactly the chalkiest price, but still a pretty good amount of juice. The most likely outcome, though, even with a series tied at a game all, is for the Thunder to still pull off the gentleman's sweep, winning 4 straight games. It's plus 156 for OKC now in just 5.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm still can't get over OKC of how dominant they were in the regular season, just how this matchup goes. But again, from just my thought process, if you got 1 in Oklahoma City, the expectations from me, Ben, you're going to get 1, talking about the Pacers, at home in Indiana, which means this has to go at least 6 games no matter what. And I think that's where it's going, to be honest. I think that's wrong. I think Game 6 should be the favorite here at the FanDuel Sportsbook.
It's also very strange, DRS. We'll talk more about this on the other side of the break, because some of the odds are not making sense on our lovely FanDuel Sportsbook. And maybe we can give you a couple of extra cents in the pocket next.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do. But the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The series situation around the 2025 NBA Finals, with this set now tied at a game apiece. Indiana's magical comeback in game number 1. Once again, their only lead of the game with 0.3 seconds remaining. When Tyrese Halliburton hit that game-winning jump shot, the Thunder respond with a 16-point win at home in game number 2 last night. OKC minus 560 DRS outright to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy and be crowned an NBA champion. Of course, OKC's shortest path to victory is 5 games. That's plus 186. For Oklahoma City, series correct score to win the NBA championship and in its duration, OKC in 5, plus 186. But you saw there on just the overall NBA Finals odds, 5 games at plus 156. That's a 30-cent disparity. Now, Indiana technically could win this series in 5 as well, so you have that option available for both teams. But Donnie, of course, with a team at a minus 560 outright price, if somebody's going to win in a gentleman's sweep, more than likely it's the Thunder. If you believe that could still be the case in the NBA Finals, might as well bet OKC plus 186 instead of just 5 total games in this series.
Yeah, it just depends on how you want to lay this out because, again, those algorithms and models are still telling you we are not giving any chance here to the Indiana Pacers when we had the double-digit spreads in OKC, even though they shifted back. We'll get to some of the spreads here moving forward in game number 3 and game number 4 as we take a look, but certainly it's going to be cut in half from what we saw previously. But for myself, it's never wavered at this point. If Oklahoma City was going to win the first 2 games, that was the expectation. And then I still thought that Indiana would be able to win one of those games, at least at home, sending it back to maybe a 5-game gentleman's sweep there for OKC. Once we saw a victory, at least myself saw a victory for Indiana on the road against OKC, I immediately shifted and said, well, I'm not going to change my opinion. Like, well, they got a game on the road, but now they can't get a game at home and it still ends in 5. I'm not thinking that way. So even if the shortest price is at game number 5, I'm not buying into that because we're not looking at 17.5-point spreads in games 3 and games 4 here coming up in the series. These are basically going to be toss-up games where Indiana's already won. They'll be energized with their home court. And why can't they win a game on their home court to at least force a game number 5, which then automatically triggers a game number 6? That's the way I'm looking at this series. I don't think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I would be surprised, yes, by the better team OKC winning 2 games in Indiana. That still would surprise me. I think they split.
That'd be 4 consecutive wins for the Thunder, including, as DRS alluded to, 2 consecutive in Indy. The only time we have just a game or a full day off between games in the NBA Finals is Game 3 into Game 4. Game 3 on Wednesday, Game 4 on Friday night inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And again, entering last night, despite trailing by a game in the NBA Finals and yet an 11-point favorite for Game 2, OKC was still a minus 330 favorite to win this series outright. All 3 potentials for the Thunder, 5, 6, or 7 games, shorter than a 3-1 price. Still that case for the Thunder. It's just that potential to pull off the gentleman's sweep and win 4 straight is the shortest now at plus 186. DRS, it still seems like you believe the Pacers can extend this to a 6th game, which is what we have been hoping for the entirety of the time. But just so we know, the over-under series total games now over 5.5 at minus 192. Still that belief. The updated over-under for series total games entering Game 2 was 6.5 entering last night. No surprise, the Thunder minus 560 to win the NBA championship. That Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's price to win the NBA Finals MVP closely reflects at minus 500. Listen, if you are willing to lay the juice, if you're willing to lay the chalk, in the very idea you just think the Thunder win an NBA championship, you're getting better prices on SGA, who has scored 72 total points in the first 2 games, 34 plus in both. If Oklahoma City is winning the NBA Finals, DRS, it's SGA. That's that. So you're getting a slightly better number if you just want to focus on one outcome.
Exactly. And if you're saying like, well, I don't want to do that because if SGA gets injured and then they win, no, understand this. SGA gets injured. No, they don't win the championship. The Pacers will win the championship at that point. So you're basically just saying, is he going to stay healthy? And if he does, they are going to win the series. We just don't know in how many games they're actually going to win the series. So I agree with you there. That minus 500 price, which again, value is in the eye of the beholder. I'm not laying minus 500. What happens if it wins and you get a better price there? That's just being a smart handicapper saying, I know OKC is going to win. SGA is the best player. He's going to be the MVP. Why not save some money? Because, again, the downside is, well, what happens if he gets injured in the next game? Again, they won't win the series if he gets injured in the next game and doesn't appear back in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, listen, I don't think that's a great bet by any means, right? Minus 500, minus 560 for the outright price. I'm just saying if you want to lay the chalk and you're comfortable with it to hopefully see a profit, I would just bet Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win Finals MVP instead of Oklahoma City at a slightly juicier price to win that Larry O'Brien trophy. So, DRS, for the first time in the NBA Finals, we changed venue on Wednesday night in Indianapolis, inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. First game for the Pacers hosting in the NBA Finals since the year 2000. Are they a home favorite? Absolutely not. They're a 4.5-point home underdog for game number 3. DRS, you and I, we like to look at where the odds are, of course, early as we get ready for these games, even with 2 full days off. We also like examining the betting statistics on our lovely sponsor, the FanDuel Sportsbook. I haven't seen some of those percentages as strong as the early looks here for Game 3. 96% of the money on the spread is Oklahoma City as a 4.5-point road favorite. 96% of the money into the FanDuel Sportsbook early is laying the 4.5 with the Thunder on the road in Indy for Game 3.
And it's driving prices because the opening number here in New Jersey on FanDuel was 4. It now sits at 4.5. You look at just about every other book out there, Ben, they're actually at 5.5. So that money is pushing that price point north because most people will say, hold on now. I know OKC is the best team. I was a little bit nervous by laying over double digits, let's just say in games 1 and games 2. Now I still think they can win. I don't have to win by double digits. I basically have to win by 5. Where do I sign up? And I can't fault them for agreeing with it. But the only one, again, the tough one to sort of circle was game number 1, long layoff for both of these teams. How would the Pacers actually come out? They played fine. They ended up winning that basketball game, coming back, Halliburton with the big shot. Same thing for me in game number 3. How are they actually coming up now that we have a 1-1 series? Understanding this for me.
Right.
They need to win this to really put the pressure on OKC. Because I think OKC wins the series. It's just a matter of how many games. But you want to make OKC really go through the ringer, knock them off in game number 3, and then say, oh, yeah, we beat you in game number 4 and go up 3-1, we're going to win the series. Which, again, I don't think is going to be the case. But I do think it's interesting, not from a public perspective, because they're saying it was 11. Now it's 4.5 or opened up at 4. Where do I sign up? And they're doing that right now.
When you look at Oklahoma City, DRS, the Thunder have been at least a 3-point favorite in all 18 of their playoff games throughout this run. And yet, Oklahoma City, in terms of winning on the road, has yet to cover as a road favorite throughout this postseason. Now, they have won a couple of games on the road, one in Denver, one in Minnesota, and of course, both in their opening round set against Memphis, but they have not covered in any of their road games. They are 8-10 against the spread, all 8 of those covers coming inside the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, all 8 of those covers by at least 15 points. Again, glass half full for Indiana. You have won a game already in Oklahoma City, and nobody has scored 20 points yet on your roster in the NBA Finals. Not Pascal Siakam, not Tyrese Halliburton, not anybody else in that starting 5. You are going to need a superstar performance for a team, DRS, in the Pacers that has been known for its balance and depth. They had 6 guys in double figures in Game 1, 7 last night in Game 2. You're going to need a magical performance out of Siakam or Halliburton, I would say, in Game 3 to pull off the upset.
I understand this, too. Maybe get a little bit of silver lining there in the fourth quarter where Halliburton actually showed up because he was invisible for the first 3 quarters last night. Maybe he can use that as a springboard to game number 3 and knock down a couple triples early to get that place popping at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
We'll have plenty more around the NBA Finals a little bit later on. Let's highlight Donnie here. Some NFL news next.
Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
So, of course, the big news on Thursday afternoon that we broke down for you here on a Friday morning on the early line was Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And one of Donnie's main questions was not exactly how this changes things for the Steelers. Does it make them a conference contender? But what would the financials be behind this maneuver? And would that make sense for Pittsburgh as well? Well, on Saturday, DRS, we got our answer. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers was in the team's training facility to sign his 1-year, $13.65 million contract that includes $10 million guaranteed and has a max value of $19.5 million. The deal includes $5.85 million worth of play time and team performance incentives. So there you go, DRS. That is the structure of the one-year deal for Aaron Rodgers in the Steel City. What do you make of it?
I like it. I like it a lot here. And if you say, okay, how does he get that $20 million? Understand this, what it probably means. First team All-Pro, NFL MVP, and Super Bowl champions. You probably get all of that. That would equate to the Steelers would probably be happy to pay him $75 million if he was able to do that. But I like that because it shows that you didn't break the bank, and it was a one-year deal, which caught me off guard a little bit because that says, you know what? That doesn't sound like, Ben, that's a one-year, $38 million contract, but you can't do that in the NFL. You got to spread those years out over, let's just say if you signed a 3-year deal, like, wow, he really went for the money, because even if he only plays 1 year, you spread the cap hits over year 2 and year 3, so it's not that bad if he retires or you have to cut him. But the fact that it's a one-year deal and all-encompassing this season, which is great because now you can say, if he's playing really well, maybe open up the books a little bit and extend that into the next 2 to 3 years, even lower that cap bit more, give him a little bit more money. Thank you for this. And we might be able to play you until you're 42, 43, or 44 years old. But also from a standpoint of what other quarterbacks are making in the NFL. And I know it's wrong to do this, but guys like Brock Purdy signing $50+ million per year, and I got Aaron Rodgers at $13 million a year. I'm not comparing them, Ben. I'm not saying the two different situations there in San Francisco and Pittsburgh are different, but I'm just trying to use that leverage by saying there's a lot of quarterbacks making 5 times the amount that he is making. Maybe you are getting Aaron Rodgers on a bargain. I like to see it. Do I think it's going to turn into a Super Bowl? Nope. Do I think they'll be competitive? Absolutely. But I like the fact that this wasn't like, ha, Steelers, I told you I would come back, but you know what? I told you $15 million. It's $30 million now. And they'd be like, we don't have anywhere else to go but sign you for $30 million. You got us. Oh, well, we'll see how it turns out. I like the fact that it was very manageable. That's a plus sign for the Steelers.
I really agree, DRS. Anywhere north of $20 million, it would have been like, okay, what are we doing here? And this guy, Aaron Rodgers, who claims he's not in it for the money at the age of 41, about to enter year number 21 of his NFL career. What exactly is the scenario? I think this is very fair, very equitable, very reasonable on both sides. 13.65 for this season, $10 million guaranteed. Let's compare to a couple other one-year deals around the National Football League. First, a veteran, Russell Wilson, has a contract with the Giants that can be worth nearly $21 million, but it's $10.5 million guaranteed. That's pretty similar to the Aaron Rodgers deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 13.65 in terms of that annual average value, DRS. Daniel Jones signed a one-year, $14 million deal in Indianapolis. Thus, Aaron Rodgers being in that ballpark at this stage of his career on a one-year loan virtually in the Steel City makes a ton of sense to me. So the financial details, they check out. As Donnie and I broke down the entirety of Friday, does it really move the needle? Is Aaron Rodgers better than Mason Rudolph? Yeah. For a Steelers team, that win total is 8.5, knowing the standard that Mike Tomlin has set over nearly 2 decades in Pittsburgh. Does it make them a winning football team? Yeah, probably. Could they even win 10 games and get to the playoffs? Sure, they've done that in 4 of the last 5 seasons with very mediocre or slightly above average quarterback play. Does it make them a conference contender or a team that can win a playoff game for the first time since 2016? I think both Donnie and I still have our doubts. Here are the odds, DRS, for Aaron Rodgers, the individual, at the QB spot for the Steelers. His season-long passing yards prop, 3,300.5. To get to 4K, that would be plus 380. Those numbers on the bottom are certainly very unlikely in terms of how long they are to win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. Aaron Rodgers last season, under 3,800 passing yards, or slightly above. The last time even a Steelers quarterback, DRS, threw for more than 3,300 in a season was Ben Roethlisberger in his final NFL season back in 2021 when he finished with 3,740. So Aaron Rodgers, even a flirt with those numbers on your screen, would be an upgrade for an individual at the quarterback spot over the last 3 seasons or so.
Yeah, 3 of those 4 numbers on the graphic would be wildly entertaining. He's not going to be Offensive Player of the Year. He's not going to win the MVP, and I don't think he gets to 4,000 yards. 3,300 just based on Aaron Rodgers' career. Like, yeah, he should get that in his sleep. It's less than 200 yards per game here for a 17-game season. The question is, will we play all 17? And also that Arthur Smith offense and Mike Tomlin going, hey, we got that 14-3 lead in the third quarter. Let's not really press it down. That'll be interesting to see. I'd be willing to bet that he does get 3,300 yards. That is a low bar. But also understand this from a betting philosophy on the Aaron Rodgers move to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I always get a kick out of this, Ben. Aaron signed with them. Didn't even move the odds, man, on winning the Super Bowl or their team win total.
Yeah.
You idiot. It was baked into the number. We knew he was going to the Steelers. That's been months in advance with those price points. So I always get a kick out of like, this move was so bad, none of the numbers moved. Because we all knew outside of you that he was going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, people. So understand that. But 3,300 yards should be doable. You got DK Metcalf. You got Aaron Rodgers. You should be winning the majority of your games, which, again, is a slight majority where if we think we're going to win 9 games out of 8, you should have the lead in a lot of those. He should get that. He should get the 3,300 yards passing.
Yes, he really should, DRS. It's a great point, by the way, about the odds for Pittsburgh. It was the largest elephant in the room, the worst-kept secret around the NFL. Aaron Rodgers was going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, just a matter of when. At least that was the expectation. So the odds makers factor it into their season outlook in 2025 for the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, as we shared on Friday, in his 20-year NFL career, has played 14 seasons where he has been out there for at least 15 games. In all 14 of those years, DRS, he has never thrown for less than 3,695 yards. So if he is relatively healthy and even the Steelers aren't great or the offense looks poor, he's going to go over 3,300 and a half. More on the early line up next.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday night, Monday. Oh, the Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It was a weekend of championships that we bring you fully here on this Monday morning to start off a new week on the early line on SportsGrid. Do not let Mr. Tennis Sourpuss over there in Donnie right side, try to damper the excellent finals we saw this weekend over in Paris at Roland Garros in the French Open, including one of the great championship matches in men's tennis ever. Frankly, DRS, I'm not even the biggest tennis fan, but I think you can appreciate just what we saw in sports yesterday between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Alcaraz down by 2 sets early, fought his way back in set number 3, had to stave off 3 championship points, serving down 3-5, loved 40 in the 4th to come back and rally against Jannik Sinner, then broke Jannik Sinner to win his 5th Grand Slam in his career in 5 sets, and in a tiebreak in that 5th set in one of the monumental and historic French Open and major finals we have ever seen. World number 1 in Sinner versus world number 2 in Alcaraz. This time, Carlos got the better of Jannik to win the men's French Open title yesterday in Paris.
I wonder who got better ratings, the Live Golf Tour yesterday, which nobody can find on TV, or a tennis match that went 5 hours. People are probably in the stands begging for it to end, like, buddy, I got dinner reservations. Come on, can we just get out of here at this point? Congratulations to the winner. And maybe we can do this again in tennis, where Alcaraz can win like 30 tournaments in a row, and we can all cheer that on. I mean, where's the parity in tennis at this point, too? Can we get champions all over the place? Can we get guys that can actually fire through? Or are we just going to have Alcaraz for the next 30 years, just like Djokovic was and, guys before him? Enough with that nonsense. We want to see multiple champions all the time, not just one guy. Come on.
Well, so just so you know, there
has
been
been American.
parity between these two supers. Well, Americans are not great when it comes to men's tennis.
But hold on. Yeah. You know how we have the Little League World Series? It's mandatory an American team has to be in the final. That should be you want to improve ratings? Do that in the tennis world, and Americans will buy in, because we're not buying into this stuff. We're not.
Yeah, well, that's because maybe we only have one major that is here stateside. The other 3 are international. When it comes to women's tennis, as we'll discuss in just a moment, Americans fare far, far better. By the way, Jannik Sinner, over the last 2 years, is 91-3 straight up in his matches against players not named Carlos Alcaraz. He is 0-5 in the last 2 years. He has lost 5 consecutive against Carlito. And by the way, for parity DRS, it was Jannik Sinner that entered the French Open, having taken the last 2 Grand Slam titles, the U.S. Open up in Flushing in 2024,
Where's
the
Alcaraz
Aussie Open
from?
To start off.
German? What
Alcaraz?
Where's he from? Yeah.
Carlos that's not a sincere question. Where Carlos Alcaraz is from.
Yes.
He's where half of your family is from, I think. I can't tell. Either the right side family or the Seymour family. I'm not entirely sure.
You know what? So he's a Spaniard out there. Why is Spanish so good at tennis, though? Can you include? Is Nadal Spanish though? Like Mallorca, is that considered Spain, or is that just a separate country?
Rafa is quite Spanish.
What are they doing right
well?
There? What are they doing right in Spain?
They're playing really great on clay, I guess, is where they get brought up. Jannik Sinner, though, not too bad himself. DRS, these 2 guys, the world number 1s, Alcaraz 22, Sinner 23 years old. They have split the last 6 Grand Slam titles between them. Coco Gauff wins major championship number 2 in her career, outlasting Arina Sabalenka. There's your American DRS, getting past Sabalenka for the 2nd time to win a Grand Slam. She did so as well at the 2023 U.S. Open.
Coco's got a couple. Wait till Corey gets a couple of these as well. And you have just a dynasty with the Goff family, just like with the Williams family, right? Venus and Serena, you got Coco and Corey. Let's go, man. Let's do it.
Speaking of Serena Williams, the last American woman to win a French Open singles title back in 2015, a decade ago.
Wow.
It was Serena Williams. How about Texas on the softball diamond and that decisive winner-take-all Game 3 on Friday? They played 10. Hammer time indeed, as Texas wins its first national championship over Texas Tech.
The pitcher for Texas Tech, I saw, signed $1 million NIL deal before that game. Do they have the right to take that back at this point now? Upset about that one. Hit the refund button, man. Come on.
Well, Najee Kennedy is the main reason Texas Tech even got to the Women's College World Series for the first time ever. But put some respect on the Longhorn starter, Tegan Cavan, 31 2/3 innings throughout their time in Oklahoma City. Scoreless in 31 2/3. Sovereignty wins the Belmont Stakes, and Ryan Fox in 4 playoff holes wins the Canadian Open. Hour number 2 next.